Everybody has a special place. It could be your bedroom, or just your bed, or just your room. It could be your entire house. It could be the summer camp that you've made so many friends at. It could be a quiet island like Nantucket, or even the great United Kingdom. For some, it could be the Umpqua School. These places are filled with hundreds of memories that are important to you in some way. They can be happy memories, sad memories, angry memories, or even frightening ones. But they're important. They've had an impact on you, changing you in some way, and that really matters. Along with that, special places carry values. They're like life lessons, almost. Morals that blend with your philosophy of the world, making it so much easier to focus and think comfortably. In the vast expanse of the world we call Earth, my special place isn't very far away. In fact, it's 4 hours and 30 minutes away, in the land called the Green Mountain State. Many of my best and earliest memories come from the slopes at Killington Ski Resort, dating from my toddler years to even now, and I realized while writing this speech that skiing is my favorite sport by a long shot. I remember when I was 3, before I'd even started ski school, slowly drifting down a green circle trail, Sundog, with my skis locked tight in between my dad's, leaning over his crosswise posed like a railing, leaning over to see something from afar. I remember then, as we split the cold powder behind us, looking to one side and meeting my gaze with a valley of mountains dressed in blankets of snow, their peaks reaching up towards the warm sun just beginning its ascent into the sky. It was there, my earliest memory, where I remembered the rush, thrill, and excitement, knowing this was where my great journey on the slopes would begin. A year later, I was waddling off the magic carpet with my dad, my ski instructor, and my cousin, Noah. As we got off, my instructor pointed to the chairlift, sitting humbly at the bottom of the bunny hill, and told me that if I could make it to the bottom of the hill on my own, I'd get to ride up. Suddenly, I was so blinded by my excitement that I took off and started gliding down the trail, and somehow I made my way down the mountain, and I was so thrilled at surviving that I completely forgot about the chairlift and happily took off my skis to leave the mountain, having gained confidence and reassurance in my skills. In retrospect, I don't think I would have been able to hoist myself onto the chairlift anyways. Slowly, Noah and I progressed through ski school at the same pace. When we were really small, we could still play pretending games while falling down the mountain, and we still challenged each other to see who's the better skier. Hint, it's me. We could share all of our moments. Me falling off a chairlift and stranding him, too short to lower the bar. Using unnecessarily complicated codes and gestures to identify ourselves on the mountain. His older brother leaving us in the dust, snow more like, and getting lost, thinking we were way ahead, even turning and crashing into each other at full speed. They weren't radical events, but we still remember them every time we ski together down the mountain, bonding us. Years later, my dad and I made a pact that, if I could become a black diamond level skier, he himself would teach me how to snowboard. That was 3 years ago, and now I do double black diamond. And after begging and begging my dad to teach me, we finally brought our boards onto the slopes just last year. I was told by him that snowboarding had a steep learning curve, but I did not expect it to be that hard. I couldn't remember the last time I hit the snow so hard, so often. It took me a while, but I finally figured out how to turn left, and everything became so much easier. And I continued like that, falling and rolling until I landed at the chairlift, where I would hop on and gladly start again. And after just a day of hard work, I could finally maneuver my way down the mountain, and I was elated as I took off my board and packed up to leave the slopes, proud of having learned a completely new skill. My memories certainly didn't stop at winter in the Killington Ski Resort. During the summer, my mom loves hiking. When we found an opening in our schedule, we could climb with her to the top of Killington Peak and look over the vast valley of Emerald Mountains from the second tallest point in the state. Going up there also draws out my love of photography. I'm drawn to the more natural side of the world, trying to find light and scenery in my pictures. and it's a new, underdeveloped passion, certainly nowhere close to something someone like Haley could conjure up, but I love to take out my camera on every hike, and Killington Peak is one of my favorite spots to do so. After every day, I'm excited to head back to our condo. My paternal grandparents, which means on my dad's side, bought our condo in Sunrise Village 3 decades ago. Every year they would bring my dad and aunt up there and plop them down in ski school for the weekend or for a week-long vacation. My mom and dad first brought me up once I was negative something years old, and I was plopped into ski school the minute I could stay on my feet. Soon I assumed that skiing was the Warner family's only incentive to go up north in the first place, and as you all now know, I was fortunately wrong. We ski all right, but Vermont offers so much more for us. We hike up mountains like Killington Peak. We go tubing in the White River. We walk to the Sunrise Village Cafe and swim in their indoor pool in the winter, and, conversely, their winter pool in the indoor, summer pool in the outdoor, outdoor pool in the summer. And in colder conditions, we used to walk right outside after a good swim and freeze-dry our hair to mold it into ridiculous shapes. Over Thanksgiving break, the extended Werner family goes up to our condo for the whole week. Yes, we ski, but we also get to enjoy a massive Thanksgiving dinner, made mainly by my uncle, a legendary cook, but with past contributions from my mom, also an amazing cook. I've mentioned the Werner family a lot. Now, you may be thinking, are vacations in Vermont only a Werner tradition? Do the Lands go to Vermont at all? Or, more reasonably, who are the Lands? Third, the Lands of the maternal side of my family, which means on my mom's side. First, Vermont has not only been a Werner tradition. In fact, to answer this second question, members of my mom's family have been farming the land in Vermont for over 300 years. That's like longer than I've been alive. My maternal grandparents own a little condo as well, in the peaceful village of Queechee, spelled Q-U. I don't need to tell you, you're not going to remember or use the name in writing ever. It's kind of like how this Viwankua. This summer, they'll actually be moving permanently to a house in Pomfret, the town next to Queechee. We did, and still do, plenty of things when we were in Queechee. One of our favorite things to do is hike down to Queechee Gorge. When we're there, we hike down a trail leading to a very popular spot in the Ottaquechee River. And there's a stretch of flat rocks beside the river where parents can sit down and chat while their toddlers play in little pools, and their rebellious teenagers can try and fight the powerful and freezing current. The more audacious people even jump off higher rocks and even bridges into the dangerously shallow water, which my protective mother will probably never allow me to do for as long as I'm capable of jumping or falling in. Hi, Mom. There used to be a big tree trunk that crossed the calmer part of the river. It's not there anymore, but my sisters and I were the first ones that day, when my younger sister, Juliet, discovered it 3 years ago, to cross the log to the other side of the river and then back, which at the time was an adventure and a huge accomplishment. Right next to that, in the angrier part of the current, was a tiny waterfall. It wasn't really a waterfall, though, more like a water flow forwards down a declining angle at increasing speeds, translatable as a water slide by Madeline Warner if we can find her in the crowd. Can you raise your hand, Mads? There she is. Let's give her a round of applause. Right. Because of her, I found myself at the bottom of the river with adrenaline pumping through my veins and a really, really, really sore caboose. It was so much fun that we did it again and again, flying down through 5 feet of furious rapids and wrathful foam. We still find the slide today, going down with my mom's family, and we love re-experiencing the joy of first going down, although it does scrape me a little more each time. We even urged my dad to do it in the first year when he still came to the gorge, because he too had brought a swimsuit. His argument was no. He wasn't a little kid like us, and wouldn't fit down the slide. I still hold they chickened out. I'm kidding. He was actually the one who first tested the slide to make sure it was safe. On top of all that, we often go with my mom's family, including my granny and granddad, to the Queechee Club for a family lunch, and then to swim in their pool. When we're all gorged up and all clubbed up, we go to Sugarbush Farm. The farm sits happily in Pomfret, the very town my grandparents are moving to. Sugarbush isn't the most impressive farm. They don't harvest wheat and corn, they don't butcher meat, and they don't sell eggs. But what they do make is cheese and syrup. And just for reference, when I say cheese and syrup, I mean cheese and syrup because you have one taste at their sampling station, and your mind teleports to cheese and syrup heaven, where the cheese and syrup God greets you and lets you sit on his cheese and syrup throne, so that you can bask forever in the eternal glory of cheese and syrupy awesomeness. In other words, it tastes good. Now let's come back to the topic of my speech. In many ways, Vermont's values reflect mine. It's a state that heavily protects and esteems nature and the outdoors. It never allowed slavery, and it continues to treat everyone equally and refrain from discrimination. The state moves at a slow pace and gives people breathing room to work, and it's an uncrowded state where nobody has to feel crammed into a tight, uncomfortable space. You might as well just call it a chillax state. It even has cheese and syrup. Our special place's values jive with our own. That's why we feel so comfortable, fitting into a place where we can be honest and real. That's why the memories we make there are so important. They're what define us through our actions and experiences. They can't be found in writing, and they can't be read in a book, although I suppose you could make them by reading a book. And thanks to Grace, you already know how to find them. Our special places are full of those memories, and the values as well. That's why we can't take them for granted. Acknowledge your special place, because it's the one place you'll feel most at home. Vermont is where you'll find mine.